Hello, everyone. Welcome to Built in Texas. Thank you so much for joining us. Yet again, it's Monday, same time. Every Monday, we're here introducing you to some incredible women that are, I believe, shaping and building what's happening here in the state of Texas. Whether you are joining us from LinkedIn or Facebook, welcome to the show. I feel like show is an understatement because I'm doing this from my house. It feels like that's... But this is our new pandemic, our pandemic world, right? You could do a show from anywhere, anytime. So thank you all for joining us and also for just being here, right? I don't know how your weekend's gone. I feel like we're starting to feel a little bit of change now with the state of things of opening up and for more vaccines happening here in the state. You know, we of course always have some controversy here in the state, which is exactly why I think it's so important for us to have a voice here. If you are tuning in, feel free to say, hey, what's up in the comments. Let me know where you're from. It's interesting. Each week we have people tuning in from all parts of the state. And we've also had some people joining in from outside of the state, which is really cool. So thank you so much. My name is Jasmine Brand. I'm an entrepreneur based in Dallas, Texas, and I'm the founder of Her Texas. And Her Texas is what I believe will be the first ecosystem for the state, specifically for Texas women, built by Texas women, for Texas women. And you might be asking, why do we need that? What is an ecosystem? Well, one is just size, right? That there are close to 14 million women in the state of Texas. And we have close to 2,000 cities in the state of Texas, which I think people just forget about. You often hear about those big major cities, but we have so many here. And I started thinking a couple of years ago, what if we were to channel all of the goodness and the energy that's happening in the state? And what would happen if women here in the state of Texas started to become more cohesive, if we were more collaborative, and if we found a way to communicate directly with one another? You know, in other states, it doesn't take a long time to go to different cities. You can actually go through 3 or 4 cities within an hour or two, but here it's a road trip. If I want to go to Austin, I'm planning snacks, I'm planning my day out. So Texas is huge, and that's a good thing, but sometimes it's a challenging thing when it comes to collaborating. And it's my thought, whether you are in Laredo or you're in Denton, Texas, whether you were in El Paso or you're over in Terrell, as my family calls it, your opportunity should not be limited by the zip code you live in. And we should be doing more stuff together. And that's kind of the point of the show, is to introduce you to women around the state that are doing interesting stuff. So you have some new women on your radar, but also I think it's important, we should just be connecting more. I think the stuff that's happening in Houston, it's great if you live in Houston, but for us in Dallas or for anyone around the state, you may not know what's happening. So today is a really cool show. I've got 2 incredible women who I think both are passionate about investing in women, but in different ways. So I'm excited to introduce you to them. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I would be remiss, you all, if I did not start off the show with a little shout out. Now, everyone knows I'm obsessed with her. This obsession has changed as I've gotten older, of course, but we have to give it up for the 2 queens last night, right, who made history at the Grammys. And people were like, Jasmine, Texas this, Texas that. So I would like to clarify that it's not just about only Texas, right? I think it's really, if you're born here, if you're a transplant, I think it's about just channeling some goodness and some positive energy around what's happening in the state, but also making sure that women's voices are heard. Sometimes when it comes to Texas, whether it's politics, business, sometimes we don't get to hear our voices, or we're like the second part of a paragraph. And I believe we should be the first. So that's really why Her Texas was created. It's a for us, by us approach, but Her Texas is a movement for all people that are interested and passionate about advancing women forward. We specifically focus and celebrate and honor and move forward Texas women. So shout out to these ladies who made history, both H-Town, both Houston, which was exciting to see them. And also Mickey, I don't know how to say her last name, I've mispronounced it, but she's from Arlington. I believe she was the very first Black country Western artist to perform at the Grammys last night. And she was wearing a Naheem Khan, which is one of my favorite designers. So 3 ladies from Texas that were doing big stuff at the Grammys. So Her Texas, as I told you about, is just a platform that I created. And, you know, we used to do in-person events when I first started kind of testing out the concept. This is an example of one. And of course, we've all had to pivot, like what's next for all of us. And I think as a state, we are officially open, but I think, that's changing per city. And also too, we at Her Texas definitely are in alignment with science and CDC. So we will of course be listening to what women business owners are telling us what they're comfortable with, but also kind of what the guidelines are. So right now, of course, we're going to be doing a hybrid approach, but eventually the cool part, I hope, is that maybe by the end of this year, next year, we'll be doing full-fledged events around the state. So just to reiterate, we're a movement. We believe that some of the best strengths of the state are the women that live here. But it's not just because it's Jasmine saying it, like I'm just love Texas. It's just the history of the state. The state was built on incredible women doing badass stuff. It's too early to say badass, doing really badass stuff, but not just doing it for themselves, doing it for other women. And so we're so huge. And I think Texas, we're extra down here. So we don't just need a community. We really need a revolution of ideas, vision, and sisterhood. And so I'm excited about us and our future, what we've got planned. We will launch in May. Built in Texas will be here every Monday leading up to that. So excited about the future. Here's some of our core values. As we get closer, I'll go into bigger a deep dive with these. But more importantly, would love for you to connect. Right now, we're preparing for some really cool stuff for May, but would love for you to connect with all of our social channels if you'd like. We do have a private Facebook group. That'll start popping. I think April 1st is our plan for that, where you'll start to see some really cool stuff in there. So we love your support. And if you would like to subscribe, we've got a weekly newsletter. It's hertexas.co. This will be posted on the video if you missed it or if you need it, but it's hertexas.co. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, or if you've got questions for us, or you're like, Jasmine, I want to get involved. I'm like, please, we would love for you to be part of this mission. And without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring you on our two special guests. I am going to read their bios really quickly for you. And these two ladies don't know each other, but I hope that they will connect. And what's been really fascinating about this show is that I have built a really large network over the last decade, I guess. And I forget sometimes some of the women in my own network. And it's one of these things as women, we have to always keep networking and meeting one another. So I'm going to read a quick little bio, and then I will bring on our special guest. So Alexia P. Hammonds is the founder and CEO of Eat, Sweat, Undress. Doesn't that just make you want to go on that website? Eat, Sweat, and Undress. I got the eat and undress part, Alexia. I need to work on the sweat part. It's a female-led brand that offers fitness, wellness, beauty, and fashion products and services to enhance the lives of women. She's proud to be recognized as the first Black woman to create perfume. And I'm going to say this, I believe it's Grasse, France. She will correct me, the historic home of perfume. She's a classically trained Pilates instructor, former beauty editor, and a regular product and fashion segment television guest. She decided to channel her collective 15 years of experience into a retail brand that empowers women, inspires them to live a healthy, successful, sexy, confident life, unapologetically and on their own terms. I love that. Our next guest is Cox Cousy. Now, Alex, I might have butchered that. I feel like it's Italian because it's got an I at the end, and my mom said Italian names all have vowels, so you will correct me. She is a senior associate at Republic. She spent over the last 10 years in rapid growth environments at early stage companies in hospitality, consumer products, and finance industry. With each startup going through mergers and acquisitions, she has refined her abilities to thrive in ambiguous environments and established plans to overcome operational barriers. Highly skilled at structuring, owning, and leading large-scale initiatives, she's often referred to as a utility player, making a career out of handling multiple special projects simultaneously and implementing them while scaling the business. She is a Cornell grad, and she is currently getting her Master's of Entrepreneurship from the University of Houston at Victoria. So I'm excited to hear about that. Welcome, ladies, to Built in Texas.
Hi.
I didn't butcher that too much. Did I butcher your last name, Alex?
Oh, no, it's Cousy. But it is Italian. Yes.
Oh, Cousy. Okay, got it. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. And then Alexia, I think we have to go ahead and start off with this really cool thing about you being the first when it comes to your brand. So can you tell us a little bit more about what Eat, Sweat, and Undress is?
Yes. So our tagline for Eat, Sweat, Undress is eat clean, sweat daily, feel confident, undress. And it really is a full lifestyle brand and a philosophy that I believe in. We developed a line of supplements, athletic apparel, beauty items, but we're custom design lingerie service, but we're most known for our perfumed hair mist because it's such a unique product.
Wow. And I think when I was stalking you, because I do stalk you, I don't care to admit it.
I like it.
Okay, good. It's like a professional stalking. So
for sure.
I noticed, that the space is small, like your competitors or the other similar brands, isn't it? It's pretty small right now.
Yeah, there's less than 75 brands in the perfume hair mist market, and they're all large department store brands. So I am the only small business in that space, and I'm the only woman of color to own the brand in that space.
That's really amazing. Since you started, now you've been in the game for 15 years, but when did Eat Sweat Undress actually officially launch?
So it launched as a hobby, and it was just really like a blog, and I sold some t-shirts back in 2012, and then I picked it up again, leaving the Pilates equipment company that I worked for into 2019. And I was just saying, I want to come back around to Eat Sweat Undress, but I want to make it a little bit more meaningful to me, and I need to figure out a product that makes a difference for me. Not saying that our supplements and beauty items and apparel isn't special, because I believe it's the best. But there are a lot of different brands that have amazing products in those categories. But where I really felt our difference was in the perfume hair mist, because we blend fragrance and high-end hair care.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes.
I'm excited and geek out with just businesses in general. And when I was thinking about Her Texas, it came about when I was just talking, interviewing, meeting women around the state a couple of years ago, and was just realizing like the diversity of businesses that we have here is just so fascinating. And if you're in each city, you hear about it, but like we just start hearing about it, right? And so I was like, your business is so fascinating, so interesting,
Thank you.
and unique too. So it's really, really cool. Alex, thinking about startups, because I know that's a space that you really love. I think we know just nationally that the number of startups being created by women is exploding, Black women especially. Can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you do with Republic? And then why are you so passionate about women-owned businesses or startups? And tell us a little bit more about that.
So one of the reasons why I am so passionate about women-owned businesses is that I worked for a venture capitalist fund that was founded and managed by two women in Texas. And their investment thesis was to invest in diverse founding teams. And what that meant was having one woman on the executive level team. And it turned out that a lot of the women were, the founders and CEOs, but their focus was in consumer products, because women make 80% or more of all decisions for families. And the consumer products that were being marketed to them and created for these women were not women. And that just totally shocked me. And I couldn't believe that there was such a deficit in, being able to match the target audience to, the creators of the products. And so that has really been eye-opening for me. And then that has continued throughout my career at Republic and NextSeed, because we're crowdfunding platforms. We are an investment crowdfunding platform. And the statistics that we've found is that diverse founding teams are extremely successful on crowdfunding platforms, because they're being invested in by people that are not, accredited investors. They don't make millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. They just know what they like, and they can really connect with the founders. And so at NextSeed, the CEO was very strict on, we want to put the best businesses that we can on the NextSeed platform, regardless of race or gender or anything. And then just naturally, through the best businesses that we listed, it was just a huge increase in women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, first-generation immigrants. I mean, I was floored by that number. And so it just continues to validate that, diversity is where successful teams grow from, and that people know that and they connect to the stories. And that's the beauty I see in crowdfunding and how it can help women-owned and minority-owned businesses really flourish.
I love that because it's really like a for the people, by the people. And it's almost like these platforms are kind of an equalizer too, because, I know in the work that I've done in the startup space, like we all know that we don't all have a friends and family around that. We do have some of us have friends and family that can contribute, but not nearly at the same level or pace that we see some of the male counterparts too. So we know that there's women creating really cool stuff, but to be able to have access to that capital, I think when you're ready to start scaling, is so huge. But I think it's also awareness too. That's some of the goal of this platform too, is that it's already just hard to start a business. But like, if we know, and I know for me, like if I know a woman that's got a really cool business, I'm going to support her, right? I'm always going to support her. I'm going to do something. I think most of us, now, we've got a couple of bad apples, but for the most part, kind of find each other, women that truly like to support each other. It's not just a hashtag. Like we typically will find each other. And I know if I knew, like Alex, if you knew what Alexia was doing, like, of course you would say, yeah, I know someone that needs to know about this, but it's just really hard and really challenging. Can you both tell me, like, talking about the pandemic, of course, now too, how have your lives, both professionally and personally, been impacted? And we know the typical way. Well, I'll just say for me, I've gained weight, and there's been some other things too. But I've been really productive because, and people never believe this, but as an introvert, I'm actually super comfortable at home. So like, I feel like I'm doing way more stuff. Okay. I'm like a different person on Zoom, you guys. It's like, woo, I can get 3 Zooms tonight. It's like it's a game changer. Whereas my friends that are extroverts are, and I know this too. But can you tell both of us, and I'll start with you, Alexia, how has the pandemic, because you've been thriving, from your business, but I know you've got challenges too. How has the pandemic impacted you personally and professionally?
Professionally, and I hate to say this because I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound tone deaf, but with my business being online and me being in the beauty, primarily in the beauty and wellness space, our space has skyrocketed like 600% in sales. So it's, as awful as that kind of sounds, I hope everyone understands what I mean though.
I don't actually think that does. I think there's certain industries that have, we know, like I have a friend that's an online fitness coach and she has exploded. So I don't think that's
sure. Okay. Yeah. I just want to be sensitive to people because everyone is not doing okay. I just want to recognize that. But for the online entrepreneurs who have products, especially in the beauty space, it's been great. And in our industry, the science says, and the numbers are saying that even after the pandemic, 69% of all of those new online shoppers are going to continue to do so. So professionally, it's been great. I think that downtime last year really helped me and my team really focus even more to get things moving on our timeline even a lot quicker than we had expected, because what else is there to do? Personally, I'm high risk, so I have asthma. So in the beginning of things, I was very worried because I was like, oh my gosh, my lungs, and what if there's not a bed for me, but then once I learned, and this was in the beginning where we didn't have all the information that we have now. So with the information and knowing how to protect myself and to keep myself in my area safe, my anxiety has been down. I think I definitely take a little bit more care of myself. I had to get more disciplined about food and exercise, right? Because I love going to the gym or to the Pilates or yoga studio to work out. But when all those things close down, I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do? All right, I have equipment at home. Let me be more disciplined. So it helped me focus to be more disciplined in myself.
I love that. And I think with any kind of chaos or tough times, it produces really a lot of challenges for us, but it also really reveals the goodness too that exists in people, and it also too celebrates innovation, because hustle is hustle, right? So I think definitely we can be mindful of like what's happening right now, but then also still work our butts off and do really great business things too.
Yes.
And I think it's a testament and inspiration for women and men who have businesses that didn't do well to say that, you know what, I've got to pivot and innovate. So I think, Alexia, your business is I think it being successful is huge for other women. So I'm glad to hear that things are popping for you. Alex, I have a question from you for the audience, but I want to ask you too, impact from the pandemic. How's life been? How's business, work been? How's it been?
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, like staying at home, and I am a new parent, so I have he's like 16 months old now, so he literally was 4 months when we went into COVID. So my husband and I had to watch him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from April to December. We just put him back in daycare in January. So that was huge. And, but amazing at the same time. We were wiped out and also just in awe of being able to have these special times with him. And so that's been challenging. And actually, I had a great conversation with the NextSeed CEO, where we were just very real and, talking about we don't know what's going to happen to NextSeed, because recently is when Republic and NextSeed have merged. So at the beginning of COVID-19, NextSeed was a small business, just like the businesses that we serve. And we got PPP loans too. We were advising our businesses, but also doing the same things as them. And so we had a conversation about potentially going back to school and just exploring what that might mean. And that's when I decided to take on a master's program. And it's actually worked out really well because, when I don't have to study right now, I'm just like kind of watching TV. And so it's just, my son goes to sleep at 6 and I just have a few hours at nighttime and I can do some work. And it's with the University of Houston, Victoria. And this program has always been online. So there isn't any transition issues. Everything was already online because entrepreneurship and economic development, they're just not two things that are put together, which is very strange to me, coming from the startup ecosystem. And so that's something that I'm really passionate about and don't know where it's going to lead me. It might just be like a fun thing that I'm learning, but yeah, so it's been really busy, but those are really the challenges that we've been overcoming. And NextSeed was able to thrive and move forward and join forces with Republic. And it's been an incredible journey and we're really excited about that merger.
Yeah, I love to hear that too, because it's growth, right? I mean, those are the two things we keep hearing about is pivoting, and then downtime. I think that's also a huge thing, like the things that we'll keep afterwards. Like I used to just be so busy going to so many events and cooking too, like just cooking. I mean, just these things that we should be focused on in a more wellness balanced life. So I want to ask you both, as this time goes by so fast, so we only have a few minutes left. I want to ask you, like, what's next? Now, I do have a question for you, Alex, from my girlfriend Jackie. What do you see being a strategic next step for women to leverage your platform after being listed?
Well, there's so many great aspects of crowdfunding, but one of the primary aspects of it is that the investors in your business are your evangelists. I mean, they are committed to your business because they have put in money and they're just such a huge resource for businesses. And that's where I think founders can really leverage their investors. We have a lot of businesses continue lots of communication with their investors because they have a genuine interest in the business. They are often patrons. So they'll buy your products and they really can support you when you're looking to expand. And, additionally, the way that you can leverage crowdfunding is that in your cap table, it can serve many purposes because there's a lot of different kinds of securities that you can list with. And so you can list with debt, you can list with equity, and that really can complement if you're raising equity, if you're raising debt. Like NextSeed can work with banks and take second to banks. So it's very flexible capital and just a brand new source of capital. So I think those are really the best ways that you can be leveraging crowdfunding platforms right now.
Awesome. And, when we launch in May, one of our kind of mission statements is supporting founders, but from a holistic perspective, which is why I love the both of you being on here, because I think we sometimes, especially as women, I think it's not that we of course have differences from male founders, right? But at the end of the day, we're all trying to build incredible businesses.
Yes.
But holistic approach to startups and to female founders, I don't think is being done a lot. So I'll definitely will be connecting with both of you again, because I think as we launch across the state, like how can we really make sure that Texas women are fully supported, or women that want to do business with Texas too? That's part of the thing too, is that, we've got a lot of women are here, but we've got a lot of people wondering what's going on in Texas, and, they hear what's on the news and hear other people speaking for us. And I think that's our job now, is to create a new table and new voices too. Alex, how can anyone that's tuned in, how can they connect with NextSeed or Republic, or how can they get involved or learn more information?
Yeah, if you just email me, it's acc@republic.co. And
Okay.
I can type it in the chat. I don't know.
What we can do too is put it in the Facebook comments too.
Okay.
And LinkedIn, yeah, I'll put it down there. I'm making note. Can you repeat it again?
acc@republic.co. And feel free to email me and I can just point you in the right direction, because we have a lot of different verticals that we work with as far as industries and products that we offer. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved. And it's also very important for investors too. We haven't gotten to touch on that a lot, but providing people that don't normally have access to private investments is a huge wealth builder tool. And that is just a vital aspect to building wealth and closing those inequality gaps. So I feel like crowdfunding it's just very suitable for both investors and businesses to grow their wealth and to grow their networks.
Okay, so this is, of course, going to have to be part one of other conversations. Because I have 50 million questions and my confidence is now kicking in too. So I will definitely, hopefully, we'll connect with you when we're launching in May, because I have some ideas I would love to run by you too.
Yes,
so,
we would love that.
you. Alexia, what's next for you and for your brand besides world domination?
Yes, well, we are going to be growing into online and COVID safe in-person events, but they're all going to be centered around beauty related things. And that is going to be called Beauty Dish by ESU. So we'll be doing like beauty luncheons, talking about beauty, pairing it with afternoon tea and food. These are just all the things that I'm into that I want to bring other ladies with similar interests in, while we learn about our aesthetics, products, and services to enhance ourselves, to make us feel sexy, to make us feel good. And we'll be expanding our fragrance line as well. So we have some good things coming and some things for men.
That's exciting. And I'm going to be biased, but I feel like the jasmine scent would be an incredible part of your collection.
I have some scents with jasmine. Text me your info and your mailing address, and I'll send you.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Yes.
You
too, Alex. Give me your info.
I will.
I'll connect you too. Okay. And how can we connect with you, the platform? Like, what's the way for people to get in touch with you?
Yes. So you can go to eatsweatundress.com. On Instagram, we are at eatsweatundress. You can always email us for any questions or comments or feedback at info@eatsweatundress.com.
Perfect. Now we are out of time, but I feel like I have to get this question in because it's so important. And it's our question every week. I would love for you to both quickly in 30 seconds to tell me, who is your actual spirit animal? Like, what Texas woman, either today or in history, would you say represents or embodies maybe some characteristics or things that you really love? Alexia, I'll start with you.
Okay, I'm going to say Gail Warrior. She is a huge entrepreneur. She's always like perfectly polished and put together.
Always.
She's super busy. She's a philanthropist. She is a boss. She is a badass. And she's paid because of her skill set and her brain power. And so I really look up to her. I've only met her a couple times, but I really want her to be my mentor. She's everything. Okay.
I know. And
animal.
then for sure, she's a great one. And she and her husband are always taking these fantastic trips. As I'm working or whatever, she'll post something like, and I'm just like, this is the life I'm working towards. She
inspires me.
She's so amazing. That's awesome. Okay, Alex, your spirit animal.
Okay, so oh my gosh, it was like, as soon as I started looking for people, it was like, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, there's this person and this person. And really what I love, and maybe I'll keep it a little general, is that the women in Houston, specifically the startup world, are paving a way for the entire startup community. And when I came to Houston from Austin, I was welcomed with open arms, and all of the women there that are starting, they were involved in the Houston Angel Network, they were involved in Station Houston, and all these businesses they were, the founders of, and they would just like meet with me for half an hour, and they had no idea who I was. And so those women are just bringing people up with them. And that's something that I really love about Houston specifically, is that they're just, the women in Houston in the startup community are so strong. And then I will just give a shout out to my women at True Wealth Ventures, Carrie Rupp and Sarah Brand. They are just incredible ladies that are going after the venture capital world and really just making a huge difference in changing the way that venture capital looks. And it's incredible, and they're brilliant. So I really value having them in my corner.
Those two ladies, and I sent Sarah a note once saying that I thought we were related, and she thought I was joking, but I was like, we could be, Sarah, because there's not so many friends walking around. But True Wealth, I mean, it's so incredible. And thank you for shining a light on the Houston startup community, because each of these cities is trying to shape our startup ecosystem. And it's so important that a woman here in Dallas or a woman in Denton knows what's happening in Houston, because we're just one city. So thank you so much. And we'll tag both Gail, because maybe Alexia, you put it out there, you manifest it, girl. So, and I do know her too, so I will definitely tag her for sure. But thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. Of course, we're out of time, but I really appreciate you coming on and supporting. And as I said, we will be launching in May, and I think I will definitely reach out to both of you, of course, but I'm excited to see kind of what the future holds. And as I told you all, feel free to go to Her Texas, where that's us on most social channels, I think, except Instagram. It's a co, and our website is hertexas.co. But we'll be back next Monday, and congratulations in advance to all the people doing amazing stuff at South by Southwest this week. We do have an incredible woman, I'm so excited, from South by Southwest that will be joining us. She did say I have to wait till after. I was like, I guess. She's incredible, and she'll be joining us actually after South by Southwest to tell us all about it, how they've had to do the pivot, right? So thank you all for joining us. Have a fantastic.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we'll see you next Monday.
Okay, bye.
Bye.